Hello everyone, this is Adish. I'm a grade 10 student from Mumbai. So today's problem is Sherlock and inversions. This problem is an excellent problem which teaches you how to use coordinate compression, Moore's algorithm and Fenwick tree all together. And basically we are going to be using a Fenwick tree data structure in the Moore's algorithm routine as a supporting data structure, and we are going to be using coordinate compression in after we input the array. So we are going to coordinate compress the array, and that's how these three ideas are going to be used. So before I explain the problem statement, I encourage you to try to solve this problem on your own, and now I'll be explaining my solution. So in this problem, we are basically given an array of size n and q queries. In each query, we want to find the number of inversions in the range L to R. And let's say, for example, we have an array of size 7 and we have 4 queries. Then in the first query from elements 1 to 4, you can notice that the number of inversions is 4, because if you consider the elements 7, 9, 3, 5, then and 7 is greater than 5, 9 is greater than 3, 9 is greater than 5. That's why there are a total of 4 inversions, and we print this. And similarly, you can verify that for the others. Like for example, from 1 to 2, there are no inversions. And from 1 to 7 in the whole array, there are a total of 14 inversions. And basically, the first key idea is that since we are calculating inversions, we can use a Fenwick tree to calculate the inversions. So the way in which we can calculate the inversion using a Fenwick tree is we can basically uh, store the frequency of elements. So let's say we store the frequency of the elements in the array. So let's say that we are just operating on an array so far, and we are using the Fenwick tree to calculate the inversions in the whole array. Then we store the frequency of elements in the array. So before that, we need to do coordinate compression on the array. So let's first do coordinate compression on the array. And once we do coordinate compression, we basically know that the array contains elements from 1 to n only, and hence like all elements are less than or equal to n. That's the first step. Then the second step is we store the frequency of elements in the array in the Fenwick tree. So that's what our Fenwick tree is built on. And basically when we go to a position I, at a position I, we need to count how many elements smaller than it, or basically how many elements smaller than it appear to its right. Or yeah, basically, so for example, let's say we had 7, then we need to find out how many like positions. So 7 is greater than 3 and 7 is greater than 5. So we know that there are 2 elements which appear to the right of 7 and which are smaller than 7. That's what we need to store. And like that's what we can do. That's one thing which we can do. The other thing which we can do is we can count how many elements larger than it appear to its left. So we can do either of these two things. So instead, like we could either have the value 7 is greater than 5 and 7 is greater than 3, and we could like count this as two cases for 7 itself, or we could basically go to 5 and find the value 7 which is less than 5, and go to 3 and find the value which is less than 7. We could do either of these two, and in both of these cases, both of these methods, we get the correct number of inversions. So in the first method, when we find out how many elements smaller than it appear to its right, then we basically go in reverse order, maintaining the elements in the Fenwick tree, and we basically do a sum query, a range sum query for the range 1 to current index is I. So we do a range query for 1 to a of I minus 1, or basically we just do a sum query on a of I minus 1. And for this we actually need to do, if we do a sum query on a of I minus 1, that will actually give us the number of elements less than it. So to find the number of elements like greater than it, we need to find out like the total number of elements minus the sum of elements from 1 to ai. So the total number of elements is actually given by I, or like because the number of elements less than like which appear to the left is I minus 1, and then I'm using one based indexing. So let's see, for example, I was 2, then 2 minus 1 is 1, and 1 minus the frequency of elements which appear in the range 1 to ai will give us the number of elements smaller than ai which appear to the left of the index I. So in these two ways, we can either use the first way going from right to left, or we can use the second way going from left to right. And in this way, we can use the Fenwick tree to calculate the number of inversions in the array. We need to basically find a way to extend this idea to answer the number of inversions in the range L to R. And to find this value, we are going to try to extend this idea. And a natural way to extend it would be to use the Mohs algorithm, mainly because whenever we have a range L to R, in the Mohs algorithm, there are two types of things which happen. There are actually four types of things which happen. The first thing which happens is we extend the range to the right. So that's one thing which can happen. So we add to the right, or we can add to the left, or we can remove from the right, or we can remove from the left. Like basically, let's say that the range was L to R. That let's say that was a current range. Then we can either extend it to the right, like the pointer in the Mohs algorithm. We can extend it to the right to be L to R plus 1, or we can extend it to the left to be L minus 1 comma R, or we can reduce the range by removing the right pointer, making it L comma R minus 1, or we can reduce the range from the left, making it L plus 1 comma R. And these are the four operations which we perform in the Mohs algorithm. Now we need to find a way in which we can use the exact same two ideas. So the key thing will be we need to find a way to use these two ideas to perform these four kind of operations, and like that's the full solution. So if we find a way to perform these updates, either an add right or an add left or a remove right or a remove left, then we have basically answered the problem, because then we know how to reflect the change and we know how to extend the pointers in the Mohs algorithm. So let's first look at the time complexity. The time complexity will be about 2 into 10 to the power of 4, 2 into 10 to the power of 4 into square root of n and into log n, because we are using a Fenwick tree to compute the values. And if you calculate that, that will easily work in 2 seconds. So you should calculate the time complexity by computing n into root n into log n to get the number of operations, and that will easily work in 2 seconds. So you should check that. And now I'll show you like how we can actually like what's the steps in using the Fenwick tree to extend the range either to the right or to the left, or compressing or basically moving the pointers either to removing the pointers from the right or from the left. So let's analyze these four cases. The first case in which we add to the right. So let's say we are doing add right. This means that the number of inversions will increase by the number of elements which appear to the left and which are smaller. So basically, let's say, so number less of number of elements which are less than AR, and like that's got the answer is going to be increased by, because we are extending it like so basically we increase the right pointer and we increase answer by number of elements which appear lesser than AR, and we maintain number of elements lesser by using the binary index tree. So notice that sum of 1 comma a I minus 1, or basically sum of 1 comma num minus 1, will tell us number of elements less than num which appear to the left, and I minus 1 minus sum of AI, or basically sum of num, will give us number of elements greater than num. Or let's just see, like, we know how many elements are there in the binary index tree, how many elements are there. Let's say that's total, then total minus 1 minus sum of 1 comma num will tell us how many elements are there in a binary index tree which are greater than num. And in this way, like, this is going to be our numless function. This is going to be numless, and this is going to be num greater. That's the terminology I'll be using. So we just increase the answer by numless of AR in the first case, and we also like increase the number of elements. So we increase total by 1 because total represents how many elements there are there in a binary index tree. And then we basically also perform an update AR by a plus 1, because our binary index tree shows the frequency. So that's why we increase the frequency of AR by a plus 1 in our binary index tree. So binary index tree is basically giving us a point update and a range sum. Like, that's how binary index tree works, and that's what we are doing. Then the second thing is add left. So to do an add left, we do the exact same thing, but there's a twist because we are now extending it to the left. So since we are extending the range to the left, we increase the answer by num greater AL. Now the motivation behind, like, why we do num greater AL is because when we are moving to the left, we want to find out how many elements are there to the right, which are like not num greater, sorry, it should be num less. So when we are extending the range to the left, we want to find out, so the contribution to the inversions when we are extending it to the left is going to be how many elements less than AL appear to the right. And when we extend it to the right, the contribution is going to be how many elements greater than AR appear to the left. Like, that's how the inversion works. When we want to find, so that's what I've written up. That was the method. The first method is in which we find out how many elements appear smaller to its right. So when we extend the pointer to the left, we want to find out how many elements greater appear to the right, like how many elements lesser appear to the right. And when we extend the pointer to the right, we want to find out how many elements smaller, I mean how many elements larger appear to the left. That's why we do num greater to the left. So sorry for that small confusion. Then the third operation which we need to do is, like, again we do an update ALN plus 1, and notice that I will, in the update, I update the number of elements in the binary index tree also. So I do total plus plus also. That's why I'm not writing it explicitly. Now in a remove left, I do total. So let's say we are doing remove right, I do again total minus minus, and I basically decrease the pointer of R, and the answer will also decrease by the contribution of AR. Now, what's the contribution of AR? So the contribution of AR is, so basically we are removing the right element. Now the right element stored, the contribution was how many elements greater appear to the left. That's why we decrease the value by num greater AR. So this is exactly the same thing as add right, but instead of that we are just decreasing it by num greater, and then we are decreasing R, because first we need to remove the contribution of R and then we need to decrease R. I mean, like, then yeah, so we need to remove the contribution of R, we need to remove the value in the binary index tree, and we also need to decrease total, which happens in this method, in the update method, and then we need to decrease R. That's how the Morse algorithm works when we are moving the right index to the left. And the fourth thing is remove left. So in remove left, we need to again decrease the contribution of left. So the contribution of left was num lesser AL. So how many elements lesser than AL appear in the binary index tree? Because, like, that's the contribution which we added when we extended it to the left. So yeah, so that was the contribution which we added, because again, if you consider the first thing, when we extend an element to the left, we want to find out how many elements smaller appear to the right. That's why we need to decrease that's why the contribution is how many smaller elements appear. And that's why we decrease the answer by the number of smaller elements appearing. And we also update EL with a -1. Notice that all of these operations work because, and then we again increase L because we are moving the left index to the right. Notice that all of these operations work because, let's say I'm considering the left pointer and I'm moving it either to the right or the left, then the contribution is precisely the number of elements less than AL, because we know that all elements appear to the right. That's why when we do num less of AL, we get exactly the contribution to be the number of elements which are less than AL and which appear to the right, because L is the left index of the whole subarray. And similarly, when we are considering the right index, then we know that it's the right index for the whole subarray, and that's why we just need to find out how many elements to the left appear greater. That's why we always take num greater to the left of the rightmost index. That's why these four operations work. And that's basically the full idea. Now I'll show you the code implementing the same idea. So in the code, I have a long BIT, which is the binary index tree. I have the value of root n for Moore's algorithm to be 350. I hard coded the value. Then I store number of elements in the binary index tree. Like this is the total. So this is the total, like which stores the number of elements in the binary index tree. Then when I have an increment update, this is an update. We need to increase the number we update. So update is increase frequency of x by value. So if value is negative, we are decreasing it, and if value is positive, we are increasing it. So we do num elements also plus equals to value, and we update the binary index tree in the normal way. This is the normal update. That's our increase update. Then like also I store the variable n, I store the variable q, I store the vector b. This is the coordinate compressed array or vector, and I store the variable now, which basically represents the answer. So it's just the answer for the current query. Then I have a point, like I have a point query, or it's a range update actually. The increment was a point update, and I mean, like, this is a range query. The previous was a point update, this is a range query. Range query for the prefix, so it basically tells us how many elements less than or equal to x appear in the binary index tree of NV3, and that's what the binary index tree is used for. Then num less of x will basically return sum of x minus 1, and num greater will return number of elements minus sum of x. Then I have the comparator function. So this is the comparator for Moore's algorithm, and like I just use some comparator. It uses Hilbert curves, but you don't need to know that. You can just use a normal comparator for Moore's algorithm. This is like a more sophisticated and like a faster comparator. I use it because I thought that the time limit would be a bit strict, but actually it isn't too much. So that's why you can use a normal comparator. Then I take in the input. So I store like the initial values are 0 for the binary index tree. I take in the value of n, and array A is the original array. Then I perform coordinate compression on this original array, and like after now B array stores the coordinate compressed array, and this means basically this just means that all elements are belong to 1 comma n, like that's what it means, the coordinate compressed array. And like that's why we can use the binary index tree to store the frequency. Otherwise we can't use the binary index tree to store the frequency. Then I take in the value of q, which is the number of queries. I store the queries in the queries array. So I store queries of I of 0, queries of I of 1, and queries of I of 2 represent the index I. I sort the queries because like that's how Moz works. I have an initial value cur L and cur R, and I store all the answers in the variable answer. I take LR from the current query and I take the index I. And now are the 4 operations which I just mentioned. And now basically stores the final answer for this range, cur L, cur R. And after all these 4 are done, we know that cur L, cur R are equal to L, R. That's why now shows the answer for the range L to R, which is exactly what we want. Now these 4 operations are, the first thing is we extend to the left. So to do that, we decrease L and we increase the answer by the number of elements which appear to the less, which appear lesser than L and to the right. So that's exactly what I did. Add to the left will decrease L and will increase the answer by num less AL. And I increase the frequency of AL by +1. Then I do the same thing for right. So increase right will increase cur right. It will increase the answer by num greater AR, and it will increase AR by +1. I use the vector B because B is the actual thing. A is just like, A is not the coordinate compressed vector, B is the coordinate compressed vector. That's why I use B. Then like these were the extensions to the right, and this was the extension to the left. So extend to the left. This one was extend to the right. Then the next thing is remove from the left, and the thing after that is remove from the right. So to remove from the left, I decrease the answer by the contribution or num less of AL or num less B of cur L, and I decrease the frequency of cur L, and I basically move the pointer to the right, and I do a similar thing for right index. I decrease the answer by the contribution, which was num greater B of cur right, and I increase the right. I basically decrease the frequency of the right by 1, and I decrease the right index to move it from the right, to basically remove the right index. And using these 4 operations, we have successfully used the binary index tree to compute the range frequencies. And notice that in increment function I update the size of the binary index tree. So that's why num greater will give us the total number of elements minus sum of x. Accurately it will give us the correct number of elements which are greater. That's why we show the variable size. And I set the answer of the index to be the answer which is computed so far, and in the end I just print all the values in the vector answer. And now I'll just submit this code to see that it gets accepted. So as you could see, my code got accepted. I hope you like this problem and my solution for this problem. If you had any doubts, do leave them in the comments down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up.